Welcome to All Market Summit Asia Extra. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I'm Angie Lau, Editor-in-Chief of Forecast for Yahoo Finance. And it is with great pleasure, and it's great to see a familiar face, former Financial Secretary of Hong Kong, John Zhang, who now leads nonprofit organization Esperanza. Welcome, John. We've got a lot to cover. But let's get our global audience up to speed here. You've been a longtime public servant who dedicated 35 years of his life to Hong Kong, the Secretary for Commerce to becoming Hong Kong's longest serving financial secretary. And now you're a fintech evangelist. So tell us what's been happening since the transition.
Well, myself, I have always been deeply concerned about well-being of our society, our world, as well as the well-being of the human race. I don't know if that has anything to do with my being a member of the flower generation. This is when I grew up. But what has fascinated me about finance is that finance touches everyone's life and is arguably one of the most important building blocks of modern society and public policy. But it has never been part of general education in schools. And I think that is indeed something that is quite necessary. And during my years of public service in Hong Kong, as you said, quite a long time, 30-something years, we went through several financial crises, some quite serious. But sound policies have kept Hong Kong's economic growth quite stable and the impact on our citizens quite minimal. And I've always insisted on being conservative, and I have been criticized for that, for being conservative. But in terms of government fiscal policies, I think we need to be conservative because we must be prepared for the rainy days. And this is similar to how people should treat their personal finances as well. That's my belief. And so after I left public service, I have been dedicating my time and effort in working with companies that help people, particularly young people, how to protect themselves in the 21st century with their personal finances. And fintech application, to me, can also democratize financial access for the underprivileged in our society with better protection and at lower cost. So here we are.
Here we are indeed, John. I mean, the generation in which you were a part of and then helped lead the generations. And now here you are in a private sector capacity, but in a nonprofit, and you're doing your own paradigm shift. And this entire theme of the summit is paradigm shift. And nothing could be further from the truth of what we're all experiencing right now, from economy to regional to health to life. In your view, what are some of the big shifts that you're seeing? And in your view, what can we expect in the coming years for Asia finance and fintech landscape?
Well, recently we've seen the rise of technology giants in many different industries, Tesla, Uber, Airbnb, and so forth. But the financial services sector, understandably, is actually the big elephant in the room. And aggressive startups are coming up all over the place, and they're disrupting traditional financial services in a profound way with some really exciting innovations. We have virtual banks, virtual insurance companies, wealth management companies. They are overcoming the hurdles of recognition of their businesses and brands to establish themselves as institutions for the new generation. Some of the problems for the new startups is that nobody understands what is a virtual bank or what is a virtual insurance company. And as a lot of the startups, they lack brand recognition as well. So they need to overcome that. And for the incumbents, I believe that they will increasingly adopt new technology as well as business models via acquisitions, as well as organic growth. But they are progressing gingerly for fear that they might start cannibalizing the existing businesses. So for example, in an insurance company, they don't want to move too quickly to a virtual platform because they are worried that something like that may cannibalize their existing business. So it's a balance that they need to find in an interesting way, and I look forward to seeing how they would do that. And one of the new business models that I'm quite excited to see is Web3, and which incorporates a lot of decentralization on top of the Web2 infrastructure.
You know, that's really insightful about the businesses, but of course it depends on talent, and it depends on labor, and it depends on this next generation to really be prepared for this vision that you see in Web3. How do young people prepare themselves? How do we educate and get prepared for this future?
Well, as you know, paradigm shifts usually bring along many new and exciting business opportunities. And of course, it brings along a lot of risks as well. So we need to capitalize on these emerging trends in a timely manner with the right mix of technology and talents. We have lots of different technology, more than we can really digest at this point. So the big need is really on the talent aspect, and we need to educate our younger generation, or even ourselves, with the latest in technology, so that we can become the talents as well. A lot of this can be learned. But we are still at the early stage of the technology J-curve for many areas, like AI or blockchain and so forth. But don't expect a smooth transition in a leisurely pace. It's going to be more like a step function. So at times it may sort of stay quite stable for a while, and then it just get disrupted and jump, quite a few levels. As far as Hong Kong is concerned, we have a small population relative to some big cities in the world, but through the application of technology and our involvement in the metaverse, and there's been quite a bit of that lately, we can actually serve everyone globally and work in a hyper collaborative environment with teams of international talents. And this is similar to what we did in the last century with our logistics. Some of our companies with no factories of their own are the biggest exporters in the world. And this is how we make use of logistics. And I think we can leverage on that same type of thinking, the same type of talent, and move ahead in the metaverse as well.
Yeah, to be that central hub of activity, as it were, from exactly. the global economy of old to the global economy of the future. I love that. Look, you've been very supportive of young entrepreneurs and fintech startups in Hong Kong. What are some of the cool innovations that you've seen that you think will change the way consumers bank, invest, and transact? What are the projects that caught your eye?
There are actually a lot of very interesting, exciting innovations that are being implemented here in Hong Kong. I'll give a couple of examples. I've been working quite closely with two young startups in Hong Kong, and they're doing some pretty exciting things. For example, a company called Stashaway, which is a digital wealth management platform. They reinvented the way that wealth management is done in Asia. Traditionally, global asset allocation has only been available to clients of private banks with very high barrier to entry. Without a couple of million US dollars, many private bankers won't really, return your call in a way. But in Stashaway, they have a very low entry. It's basically 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. You can open an account, and they can invest that in different ETFs. And what they are doing is using their proprietary intelligent investment system. Stashaway is able to offer automated portfolio management to customers at a fraction of the cost of traditional mutual funds, as low as 0.2% per year. and with almost no minimum balance. So that is something quite exciting, and I think it would help to democratize in a way a lot of the people who wants to manage their wealth better. And I think that is something quite important for the coming century. And another company that I've been working with is Bowtie, which is a virtual insurance company. They protect Hong Kong people with pure health protection and an affordable price with zero commission, because we have no agents everything is done online. And this startup company is helping to relieve the burden of the public health sector by making it accessible for customers to make greater use of the excellent private sector services that are available here in Hong Kong. And I hope that this serves to improve the health of the population and the services provided by the different institutions. So both Stashaway and Bowtie are founded and managed by young people, and they make extensive use of proprietary digital platforms. And there are many examples like that in Hong Kong, and I'm really proud about that.
As you see some of these projects grow, though, it does need some watering, and that means support either through investment or policy support through government. In your view, as a former civil servant, what is the role of Hong Kong in nurturing some of these innovations, in nurturing some of these ideas that will take shape?
I think you're absolutely right. We need the collaboration of both the private sector and government. The government can implement some innovative policies that would encourage the growth of a private sector that can really help make better use of a lot of the innovations that we have. And so that collaboration is really important. And so I think for Hong Kong government, I hope that they would also be able to be more concerned about connecting better with the world, because it is the international business that we excel in. And I think we need to continue doing that, even in the 21st century with Web3 and the metaverse, and especially so.
Yeah, I want to pick up on the metaverse. You are doing more than dabbling, John, I have to say. You, along with many artists, celebrities, personalities, have also introduced their artwork collectibles, and in your case, also artwork using NFTs. I gotta say, this is a. I love the discussion of this fireside virtual chat happening in our own metaverse. From Asa to Choi, NFTs. You got to explain this to the global audience. And I love also the nod to your nickname as well. Tell us about your project. Tell us what you're doing with NFTs.
The intention is quite simple. To me, we are going through a pretty difficult period here in Hong Kong, and I would like to give people, at least some people, in this case 3,000 people, something to cheer about. So I hope that the Choi NFT that I'm minting now can serve that purpose. NFT recipients will also be receiving some small gifts, 6 of them from me every 2 months or so. It is also a way for me also, which is also a very important purpose, to incentivize people to raise their interest in NFT beyond the use as a speculative tool. Most people here in Hong Kong, or probably in the world, have no idea what NFT is. They have no idea what metaverse is or Web3. But by issuing the NFT and giving it to people for free, I hope that would help incentivize them to learn a bit more about it now that they own something like that. And these are important innovations of the 21st century. And what we see now in the use of NFT is just the tip of the iceberg. I think
Mhm.
there is an incredible range of use that has not even been talked about yet. And I shall also be making use of the NFT and collaborating with other institutions that share this common belief, starting with my NGO Esperanza. We're trying to get more members into this, incentivizing them with the NFT. And I'm also working with a very interesting organization called Dialogue in the Dark. And I'll be using the NFT to also help them create different types of membership to incentivize people to learn more about the needs of the people who require this sort of assistance. So through this Choi NFT, we hope to bring more awareness to the emerging trend of Web3, the metaverse, and in general, the NFTs.
You know, the market right now, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, NFTs, there's just been part of a contagion that we've seen spread from equity markets and certainly take hold in cryptocurrency, especially in the past few months. How do you view the recent events of the market and the impact that it's going to have on this technology? Are you concerned? Does it make you question the technology? Do you think that it casts doubt on this technology?
I have always been skeptical about the volatility and speculative nature of cryptocurrencies. Of course, there are also a lot of regulatory concerns. When I was financial secretary, we thought about this about over 10 years ago, how that would impact on the sort of financial environment and what the regulatory concerns should be. But NFTs to me are quite different from cryptocurrencies. They are purely digital assets, and we have not even, like I said before, we have not even seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of applications. So opportunities are massive, and we should continue to explore how they can be used. I see a lot of NGOs now in Hong Kong making good use of the NFTs to create different classes of membership to attract more people interested in what they do, and as well as the various technology. Recently, we have gone through a speculative bubble in this thing, but this fact does not negate the technology itself. Just like in 2000, when the internet was getting widely adopted, the dot-com bubble bursted at that time. But even with the burst, great companies then follow. We had Facebook, Amazon, Google, they all rose to become giants that they are today, enabled by the technology that was quickly developing at that time. So I'm still keen about NFTs, and I'm confident that their applications will continue to grow to become key tools for the future.
I want to ask you to take out your Hong Kong crystal ball, gaze into it for us. You've spent the past 3 decades dedicating your professional and personal life to leading and guiding Hong Kong. In the future, with this technology that you see it today and the seeds that you're planting today, what does the future look like for Hong Kong with this new technology, with the vision that you've so eloquently described for us today?
I really see huge potential for many real-world applications. For example, many commercial firms are now using it for marketing, for example, and this is just a small example. And I think creative people is going to come out with a lot of innovative ways of making even better use of NFTs. And as I mentioned, NGOs like Dialogue in the Dark are using it in a creative way and sort of in a groundbreaking way for community building, as well as customer engagement purposes. And that's really great. So with the wider use of NFTs, businesses will begin to open up in the metaverse, and transactions will be greatly facilitated. And that means a whole lot for a place like Hong Kong. We are a small geographical area, but in the metaverse, we are infinite. And so we hope that people would make greater use of that, greater use of the NFTs and all the new technologies in the 21st century, and make Hong Kong that infinite space for business.
Technology is about connecting. And I think with your conversation today, we have connected the dots a little bit better today. John Zhang, always a pleasure to speak with you.
Good to talking to you.
And thank you all for joining this fireside chat with John Zhang. Do check out more interviews for All Market Summit on Yahoo Finance.